Hello, I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic.com, and it's another one of those news videos where I'm filming it at about 4 in the morning, so I need to be a little bit more quiet so I don't wake my neighbours, Mike and Tracy! It's fine, they're away visiting family. Let's take a look at the headline, shall we? There has been a huge title change at NXT's Great American Bash. We have Heath Slater's future plans following his appearance on Monday Night Raw. And yet more ex-WWE stars have been teased for Impact's Slammiversary. We'll get there in a bit. So, who'da thunk it, eh? Keith Lee is the new NXT champion. Keithy 2 belts now. He's just defeated Adam Cole at the Great American Bash in what was a fantastic match. A really, really great main event. Superb stuff. He posed there with the confetti and the 2 belts and, you know, a bit of deja vu. Obviously, this comes after the picture of Keith celebrating was leaked on Instagram. It was reported that maybe they had taped 2 endings. I don't believe that for a second, personally. I don't think they did tape 2 endings. I think that was just them reacting to this disastrous leak that got out there. But to be honest, I don't think it really took anything away from Keith's win and what was just such a great match. Like, you could look back at Foley's win, his first WWE title win. Nothing was really taken away there. In fact, more people turned over to go and watch Foley win because they were so invested in the character. And it'll be interesting to see the ratings, for sure, but I've got a hunch that it's going to be the same sort of thing with Keith Lee. People are so into Keith Lee that they will have tuned in to see this massive moment, the biggest moment in Keith Lee's career. Anyway, what does this mean for Keith Lee and Adam Cole moving forward? Well, Keith Lee is an easy one. Now he is the face of NXT. He's holding both of the singles NXT titles, and you've got to believe that his next feud is going to be with Karrion Kross, who, as Lee was celebrating, was stood in the balcony with Scarlett, looking on. But which belt is he going to go for? Possibilities are endless. Well, they're not really. There's 2 possibilities. Or maybe he'll go and feud with someone else. I don't know. It's going to be Karrion Kross, and they're going to have great matches together. But Adam Cole, right? So, Adam Cole, maybe he'll go after the tag titles with Roddy or something like that. But I kind of feel that now Adam Cole has done everything that there is to do in NXT. I've got a feeling that Adam Cole is going to be on the main roster sooner rather than later. And that fills me with dread. Not just for Adam Cole either, because we've seen so many NXT call-ups that have ended in disaster. Like at the moment, just recently, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, so on. However, Adam Cole has 3 other lads with him. Are they going to split the Undisputed Era up? For a long time, Vince never really seemed to be that bothered in factions, and so it worries me for Undisputed Era, it worries me for Adam Cole, but you've got 4 wrestlers who are just so good, who have dominated NXT for so long, and what is going to become of them on the main roster? Because they've just done everything. Are they going to split them up? I don't know. We're going to find out, but I would suggest that with this news, with this finish, what we've just seen there, that Adam Cole might be destined for Raw or SmackDown sooner rather than later. Time will tell, and can we all join together in crossing our fingers for Adam Cole and Kyle and Roddy and Bobby? Please, Vince, they're really, really good. Don't make the same mistake 42 times. Next up, just in case you missed Monday Night's Raw, we saw the return of one Heath Slater, who was involved in one of my favourite Raw segments of 2020. It was brilliant, one of my favourite Heath Slater moments ever. In fact, he came to the ring and he lambasted Drew McIntyre for not sticking up for him, and he was like, hey, the I Got Kids thing, that's not just a line, and now I'm unemployed. And then they proceeded to have a great wrestling match, which it lasted about 30 seconds before Drew claymored his bloody face off. And then they hugged and raised the arms, and it was lovely. And it looked like that'll be the last we see of Heath in WWE, whose the 3-month no-compete clause is up in, 8 days now? It's up on the 15th. However, we've got a bit of an update as to his wrestling future, and it doesn't look like he's going to be sticking around in WWE, despite the fact that the segment was so bloody good. So, Gary Cassidy from Sportskeeda writing that sources have stated that Slater's Raw spot was a one-off. And that follows on from Heath himself stating that the Drew McIntyre angle was a way of bookending his WWE career, which is really, really sad to hear, to be honest, because it was so good and it showed you just the potential that Heath has, not just as this sort of wacky, goofy jobber, which is a role that he's really good at, like really sort of an understated role, I guess. He was always entertaining. I'm thinking back to the like legends coming back and squashing him each and every week. I loved that. And Heath was just a really safe pair of hands and always fun to watch. But also, this segment showed that he can do the really emotional stuff, the heart-wrenching stuff. It was truly a brilliant moment. If you've not seen it, go and watch it. And this follows on from reports that Heath Slater has already booked and confirmed various indie dates. So expect to see those announced in the coming weeks. And yeah, the news is that we're not going to see him probably back in WWE, which is just a real shame, because he was with them for so bloody long, and I always found him entertaining. But at least, at least he got that moment. You could see it on his face just how much it meant to him when Drew and him were there, and tears were starting to form in Heath Slater's eyes. And it was just a lovely moment. It was a really lovely moment. So good luck to Heath. Depending on whatever he does next, I'm sure he'll absolutely nail it. Next up, speaking of Monday Night Raw, the ratings are in, and it's not good news. It's not good news at all. So I'm going to keep this quick, but the long and short of it is that this week's episode of Raw is the second lowest rated episode of Raw in the modern era. Let's talk about the numbers very quickly. So the show did 1.69 million viewers, which beat only the May the 4th episode, and that did 1.68 million viewers. So a really, really tight margin there. There is some good news-ish, and the good news is that the drop-off rate was pretty strong. So the hour 1 to 3 drop-off rate was just 5%. So that's essentially the retention rate, how much of the show audiences are watching. So that indicates that if you tuned in for hour 1 of Raw, then you are likely to make it all the way through to hour 3 of Raw. And I think that's a good indication of, if you caught the show, how engaging it was. Because actually, I think this week's Raw, from start to finish, was brilliant. I thought it was a really good episode of Raw. Arguably, the greatest Raw of the lockdown era. I don't think that's saying too much. I thought it was a really good Raw, and I'm not just talking about like the opening segment that we've already talked about with Drew and Heath, which was great. Everything leading up to the main event, the champion versus champion match with Asuka and Bayley, which was brilliant, given lots of time, was good too. It was just packed with, I thought, really great wrestling matches, which is an indication that if you like wrestling and you see some good wrestling, you're likely to stick around. Unfortunately, the overall rating is so poor. Once again, it's difficult to analyze these ratings in the way that we normally would, because things are so different right now. We've got a limited crowd that aren't really a real crowd at all. Wrestling just doesn't feel the same still. So WWE maybe not panicking as much as they normally would, because circumstances are so unusual, but still, there are the numbers. Make your own mind up. But yeah, I thought Raw was decent, and another strong showing for what is now the Pritchard era as well. And I think Pritchard, don't kill me, but has been nailing it since he took over from Heyman. I really, really do. I think there's been some really strong episodes of Raw, and I'm a big Heyman fan as well. But there you go. That's my interpretation. So let's move on. And finally, Impact Wrestling are teasing yet more ex-WWE stars for the upcoming Slammiversary 2020 pay-per-view. So, if you've not been following this, Impact have been teasing at least one former world champion, but on top of that, they've shown pretty much every wrestler ever that they've got a bit of footage of who might be available. They're really building the hype up. They're doing more YouTube views than ever, and we've got the latest names who have been teased in the latest Slammiversary teaser video, and it shows the likes of, on top of others which have already been shown, James Storm, Bully Ray, Chris Sabin, Kurt Hawkins, Shane Helms, Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, Gail Kim, and Mike and Maria Kanellis. An interesting name to note there is Bully Ray, who we found out is no longer under contract with Ring of Honor, and he's the one, I think, out of everybody that's been teased, that maybe I would like to see most in Impact again. His heel run in Impact was sensational. Like, really, really great stuff. And although, yeah, sure, he's no spring chicken or anything, he's still got an amazing mind for the business, and he can still go. So I'd quite like to see Bully Ray back. There are other alternatives. I mean, there are heaps of other alternatives. It could be bloody Austin Aries. I hope not. It could be Eric Young. I think that's the other, maybe most likely one in my mind. And also, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. It's been recently reported that they're very, very likely to have signed with Impact Wrestling already. If not, they'll be doing so very soon. And anyone who was recently released by WWE, their no-compete will have expired by the time Slammiversary rolls around. So I think it's going to be a bloody exciting show, not just because of the promise of a former world champion and the possibility of debuts or returns, but because there's some really great matches announced too. And I'm going to live stream. I'm going to do reactions for it, so tune into that. Enjoy the rest of your day. It is now Thursday. It's 3:39 a.m. at this point, and yeah, I'm going to go to sleep. Take care. Bye.